What if one nation could shape global destinies, influence what you eat, what you watch, and even who governs your country? What does it take for a country, born out of colonial rebellion, to pivot from the brink of collapse to become the most powerful force the modern world has ever seen? Could the same engines that propelled the USA to its current heights become the seeds of its own undoing? America is a great power, today probably the only superpower. We accept that. Vladimir Putin, St. Petersburg International Economic Forum. But why the USA? And could anyone, anywhere have predicted this outcome? In 1783, America wasn't a power, it was a fragile experiment, battered from revolution, surrounded by rivals, and unsure of its own survival. Every empire has a beginning. But what makes one survive, and another collapse into the pages of history? What if George Washington had lost? What if the country had fractured before it began? Can you pinpoint the moment a nation's destiny changes forever? Even as it struggled for simple survival, the young republic was building an idea that its rise was preordained, manifest destiny, a belief that expansion and influence across the continent, and beyond, were its divine right. Between 1865 and 1898, something extraordinary happened. Coal production soared by 800%. Railroads stitched together a fractured continent. Steel, oil, and invention powered explosive economic growth. Business titans rose: Rockefeller, Carnegie, Morgan. Their fortunes reshaped whole industries, cities, and governments. But was it fair? Was this the American dream, or an engine that exploited millions to enrich a select few? Its economy took off after the Civil War. Council on Foreign Relations. The world was watching. Europe, mired in old traditions, marveled, and later feared, the seismic energy unleashed in the United States. What happens when a nation's hunger for prosperity also stokes inequality and unrest? In 1898, everything changed: the Spanish-American War. Seemingly overnight, America emerged as an imperial power, annexing far-flung territories and planting its flag from the Caribbean to the Pacific. The United States was suddenly a colonial power with overseas dependencies. Office of the Historian, U.S. State Department. Why intervene? Was it about liberating others or seeking new markets, and new power? With victory came new responsibilities, and new dilemmas. Would the U.S. use its might as a global liberator, or as a new colonial overlord? Do the ends ever justify the means? 2 world wars changed everything. America was once reluctant. Why fight battles across the sea? But as global conflicts threatened world order, America's involvement proved decisive. In World War I, its fresh troops and resources tilted the Allied victory. In World War II, the U.S. transformed into an arsenal of democracy. Its factories and workforce mobilized on a scale never before seen. Could any other nation have supplied the Allies, and itself, with such relentless power? At what cost did this victory come? Can prosperity born from war ever escape the shadow of destruction? When the dust settled, Europe and Asia lay in ruins. Only one great industrial nation stood intact: the United States. America didn't just rebuild its economy. It set out to reimagine the world. The creation of the United Nations in 1945, along with the IMF and World Bank, reflected America's commitment to fostering international cooperation and economic stability. As the dominant power, the U.S. crafted the institutions of the New World Order. Dollars rebuilt Europe, treaties bound allies together, and capitalism challenged totalitarian ideals. But was this generosity or geopolitical strategy? Is world leadership a selfless role, or the ultimate means to securing influence? The nuclear age dawned, and the world held its breath. For over 40 years, America and the Soviet Union danced on the edge of catastrophe. Every economy, every science, every political movement was a secret battlefield. Who would triumph, freedom and markets, or authoritarianism and central planning? Would the world ever recover if both fell? With its Cold War triumph over the Soviet Union, the U.S. emerged as the world's sole superpower, its global dominance nearly absolute. Yet every victory brought new risks. when you're at the top, every challenger is watching. The US dollar became the world's currency. Immigration, innovation, and risk-taking built financial empires that revolutionized technology and communication. America led the world in GDP, patents, and cultural exports. Its corporations became household names everywhere: Apple, Coca-Cola, McDonald's, Google. But does prosperity always create cohesion? Why, with all this wealth, do inequality and social strife persist? Does the world benefit from U.S. economic dominance, or does it deepen dependency and resentment? From jazz to jeans, from Hollywood blockbusters to Silicon Valley, American culture infiltrated and inspired the world. The soft power of ideals and entertainment proved as potent as missiles and markets. If you could influence how billions dream, what music they play, and what values they embrace, would you wield that power or protect their right to choose? Can a nation remain loved and feared in equal measure? Today, the U.S. outspends every rival on defense, allocating hundreds of billions to maintain supremacy, almost 40% of total global military spending. In 2023, the U.S. defense budget surged above $800 billion, driven by global tensions and the need to stay technologically ahead. Does spending more guarantee safety, or provoke new arms races? Where is the line between security and overreach? The real threat to world stability is not too much American power. It is too little American power. Michael Mandelbaum. Everything you've seen, every achievement, every crisis, asks us, where does true power come from? Who decides what the superpower should be? Will the future be shaped by one nation's vision, or by a chorus of voices striving and struggling together?